everybody, welcome to your August Hams Made video. This is the 6th intro that I am filming because I'm so excited about what we are making this month that I just keep going and mucking up my words. So let me try this again. This month we are making a wall tapestry. A wall tapestry. What's exciting about a wall tapestry, you ask? Well, I'm not talking about old mid-century family portrait stitching for hours kind of wall tapestries, even though those are amazing. I'm talking about giant, colourful, fluffy, fringing, lots of different elements and textures, lots of recycled strips of things, that kind of tapestry. I have been redecorating the house a little bit, so let me put up some pictures like this one. And this one. Isn't that looking amazing? And leading up to these fabulous rooms is a grey hallway. No, that's the end. It's just grey. And that's not really what I like to see in my home. So I've been collecting lots and lots and lots of different elements like these. So I have a lot of yarn and strips and different sort of textured, stretchy whatnots. That's the technical term. But what I didn't have was a loom. I have a small loom that I was given by my friend from IKEA, which is an awesome loom, but it's about this big. And we are talking, we want a statement piece. And so I'd been looking around and I realized the answer was right in front of me. Or should I say, behind me. I've seen people using upturned tables and winding it around the legs. I didn't think that would work in our house since it's guaranteed it's going to tip on somebody. So I had to think more creatively. So I'm going to take them down so that you can get a clear view of what I'm doing. This is the pole that I use to hang my pencil buckets, also coincidentally from IKEA. I have 2 more of them. They're only half the size. So I'm going to attach these here and I'm going to overlap them just slightly so that there'll be a continuous weave when I put my string up and down across it. And that is what I'm going to use to make my wall tapestry. Amazing! Done! Let's get to it! All right. The next step after we have our 2 poles in place is to make I have to look up which is which. Make the warp, which is the up and down lines that we are going to weave onto. So this one's called the warp, this one's called the weft. If anyone is a professional weaver, my sincerest apologies. Okay, so you need a non-stretch string, something like butcher's twine. You know that I don't often go out and buy materials, so I have a big old roll of whatever this is. We're going to start with that. I'm going to have to guess what I need and take it off the roll because I won't be able to put the roll under and over. Here is my, whatever I said this one was. I see a lot of people checking it like this. I can only assume that they wish that they'd learnt to play the harp. There we go, I've done that too. I've also done this in the bright red. I realised I should have said because I was hoping that you could see it better. So I've ended up going to here because I want to be able to get on either side of it, and I think by the time we're done this should be a nice size. And if I make it too heavy, I may also rip my wall down. So let's leave it at this for now. The next step is to put a supporting piece of cardstock or something similar at the bottom. This means there'll be a gap at the end between where your tapestry's finished and the bottom of the string so you can tie it off. And then you need something solid like a ruler or a stick to help support the base. I don't know if this is what they had in mind. This is an actual stick and probably the one that I'll use to hang it at the end. Oh yes, very nice. There, nicely supported. So as you can see, if the weave only finishes here, this again is the string that you'll use to tie it off. So then, you still don't get started yet. What you do next is put a few rows of, let me look up what the supporting stitch is called. All right, the next section at the bottom is called the footer. And you just weave in a few rows to give stability to the rest of the wall tapestry. I'm going to use this again because it's nice and non-stretch. The only other thing I have is this thick poly rope. Polypropylene. I think it's from my giant cross stitch, so that's quite thick and plasticky. I'm not sure if it would do the job. So I'm going to use this and weave in my footer, and that's just going to be forward and back in between the strings, and there's no need to tie it off. You just leave a long end at the start, just leave a long piece hanging, and at the end a long piece hanging, and at the very end of the process I'll show you how to tie them in. Here's what I've got so far up close. So there's my footer, just gone over and under several rows, alternating each row, so that when I tie these up, they have something to stop it before the rest of the tapestry starts. I've noticed my ends are coming in a little bit like an hourglass, so I was pulling too tightly because you're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be nice and square at the ends. So when you're getting to the ends and coming back again, try not to pull as tightly. And it's just a little wobbly, but so am I. So let's keep going. At this stage, it's basically all of the prep work done. The next step is going to be weaving in my fibers, my strips, everything like that, the fun part. So of course I'm out of time today because I have to go and help my kids with an appointment. But when I come back later or tomorrow, I will start filling up the tapestry, fringing first, so that there's something cool at the bottom. Anyway, we'll talk about it then. Part 2. So here we are coming in with the voiceover and all the unfounded confidence in the world. I thought I'd start off by using a raya knot to do the fringing at the bottom, and you can see me working away furiously. It's not until I watched this back later that I realised I'm not doing anywhere near a raya knot. I'm doing something completely different, and yet it still worked out. So here is the technical vision of what a raya knot should look like. And I'm telling you, I still cannot get my brain to understand the difference between that and what I have done right here. I'm so confident in that process. Look at me messing around like an idiot. Oh yeah, fantastic. You go, girl. Wait until the end when you realize what you've done. So I'm going to use that same shonky process to make some blue fringing. And look, I'm even going to demonstrate it to you now. Here is the wrong way to do whatever I was just doing. So if you're learning to weave and you want technical advice, please look up some tutorials, take a class. Do not use this video as inspiration for proper weaving techniques. But if you want to make something cool and hang it up on your wall and spend a couple of hours having fun, you are in the right place, my friend. So we're going to fill up the blue section here. Get going. Nice. And once I've done that, I've placed a container lid underneath so that I can trim those off to be level without hitting my bottom layer. There you go. See, I did something right. You may even notice the orange and the red are two different colors. I didn't have solid orange at the bottom. The whole idea with this process is to just be free and make patterns and shapes and colors, and it's going to look cool in the end, I assure you. So this next process I'm doing is leaving loops of my wool at the bottom layer. Whenever you have a row where you've left loops, you have to then follow it up with 2 or 3 rows of nice firm back and forth weaving above it. And this is going to hold the loops in place. So 1 row of loose loops, say that 10 times fast, 1 row of loose loops, and then back and forth across to secure it. So I'm just showing you the sort of techniques I did with the bottom few different materials, and then we can just sit back and enjoy the process. When you have a start or an end piece, you just want to leave it behind. At the end, we'll tie those together or weave them in place, and they'll all sit nicely and they won't come undone. Here's where I pulled out my fancy little weaving stick from my IKEA kit, and I really roughly cut up a whole bunch of pink fabric into strips. As you can see, I've lifted up the black to interlock the 2 layers. It's nice for them to have a little bit of overlap and not be 2 distinct separate sections. I believe it helps for the security. It'll keep the tapestry nice and full and smooth, but it also looks a bit better. You're not going to be left with any great big gaps. And you'll notice a lot that I keep stopping and pushing the yarn or the fabric, whichever part it is, down with my fingers. I'm just pushing it down, keeping it firm, leveling it out so that it'll all be nice and full looking by the end. This next one was so hard for my brain to comprehend. Watch me going up and down here. It's called a sumac, and if you do it properly in 2 directions, it's meant to look like a braid. But check out what I have to keep reminding myself the entire time. Okay, around and then down. In the end, it was one of my favorite parts of the piece. If I could do another one, I would make a nice big section of it, but I have to practice it a little more. It was just doing my head in. I could not get it to go in the opposite direction. I don't even have any footage of me doing the top row because I stood in front of it the entire time, staring at it and trying to do it properly. There we go. I get a hug from my kitten Denise at the end to make me feel better. I've gone immediately back into just weaving fabric back and forth because this is a process I understand. And somewhere along the way, I stopped looking up weaving techniques and styles and shapes and patterns, and I just went for it. I decided to do what looked pretty, where I wanted to do it, and this is really the fun part. You can just watch it come alive, be whatever colors you want, whatever fabric or wool or anything you have laying around. As long as you overlap those sections, keep it nice and together, you can't go wrong. As I get close to the top of the tapestry, I'm just going to do a few nice even layers of fabric to hold this all in place. I thought it would be nice and snug and secure, but then the next day I woke up and I realized it totally needed a border of pom-poms. So this is how I make my quick pom-poms, and I did 12 of them and tied them across the top, definitely to keep everything secure, and also amazing pom-poms, always necessary. Once these have gone on, I'm going to cut the strings at the top and tie double knots. You'll see what I mean, sort of diagonally. So they're going to form a row of knots across the top of the tapestry. I was extremely nervous. I got a cup of tea and a kiss for good luck, which is lucky. And so then I started cutting it off. Now, in a lot of videos I watched, people complained about how heavy these were and how they would flop. So I just left the two end pieces until the very end, and that way it had something to hang on to while I did all the knots. Once I'd cut the bottom, I lay it down on my table to tie the knots there. Again, I'm taking pieces diagonal to each other and putting double knots in them so that it stays secure, nothing's going to slip out. This is the messy back section, all of those little pieces we left till the end. All you're doing is weaving them down and then up to keep them neat and secure at the back of your tapestry. I did this for some of the fabric strips, but then when I got to the wool and the rickrack that you can see there, the light mauve one, it was much easier to tie double knots in them. Since I've got a nice full chunky tapestry, you couldn't notice this from the front. I think if you were trying to do something more delicate, you would have to take the time and do this weaving up and down, not tying knots at the back, because not tying knots, because then you would have a nice, smooth, even look. But honestly, the way that mine is... No. Sorry about that. The way that mine is, the double knots at the back really weren't an issue for me. And so I felt that at the end it was a lot more secure. So a little bit of the proper way at the top, and then you'll see me go, no thank you, knots today. When it comes time to hang your tapestry, like I said in the beginning, I wanted to hang it from this nice long stick I had. So I've woven that same nice non-stretch red again through some of the knots that I had tied over and under the stick. There's no right or wrong way to do this again. You can hang your tapestry however you like. I think it looked really cool in the end, having something to hang from, and I just am so in love with how it turned out. So you could finish this off in so many ways. You could put some tassels at the end of your rod. You could hang this from some sort of coat hanger. You could stitch it into the back. Really, there is no right or wrong way. You should be able to have fun with this, and you are going to have something completely unique to you. It is grand reveal time, and again, oh my gosh, I am so in love with how this has turned out. I just had a go. I've never made one of these before. All the mistakes, all the incorrect knotting techniques, none of those matter. I have something bright, colorful, fun, and completely individual to brighten up our gray dark hallway, and that is exactly what I wanted. I hope that I've inspired you to have a go, try something new. There are a lot of different ways that you can weave, even on little pieces of cardboard. You do not have to go big like I've done here, or you can buy yourself a little kit if you really want to get started. Use up all your scrap yarn at home, use up any fabric pieces that you haven't gotten to, and enjoy the process. I'll see you next time, guys. Have a good day.